This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Make another smart choice with AutoQuote Explorer to compare rates from multiple car insurance companies all at once. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy. Hey, I'm Candice Lim.
And I'm Shayna Roth, and you're listening to ICYMI.
In case you missed it,
Slate's podcast about internet culture.
And Shayna, you are a senior producer here at Slate. You work on a lot of shows like What Next TBD, Political Gab Fest, but I wanted you on the show today because you are also a true crime author.
Candice, things are out of control in Ohio, my neighbor to the south. And as someone from Michigan, I have to say, Ohio regularly haunts me. But how much does Ohio haunt you?
Constantly. It taunts me in a way that I do not love, but I weirdly feel kinship with. Speaking of kinship, it is October, which means spooky season. Probably my third favorite holiday of the year. Halloween is coming up. Are you a Halloween person?
Okay, my birthday is October 30th. Please send gifts. So I've always been a Halloween person. I believed it was my holiday. And growing up, I always made my friends wear costumes to my birthday party.
Sure.
And as I got older, my birthday parties turned into classic scary movie nights / taking trips to haunted houses. So yeah, me and Halloween were close.
I think that's really cute. What was like your best or favorite Halloween costume you've ever worn?
I've had so many. I was Dorothy, a pirate, a witch, Sarah Palin's daughter. My friend was Sarah Palin. The list goes on. But honestly, my favorite was the year I dressed up as a mailman because my dad is a mailman. Well, he's retired. And I stole some of his work clothes. And when he got home from work, he was so happy. We have this great picture of us together, all dressed up like mail people. It was delightful.
That's so cute. I love that.
What about you?
For me, I would say my best was probably I dressed up as the Arthur Fist meme in college. I had like a mustard yellow sweater, borrowed my friend's denim skirt. It was very cute and it was a big hit. Now, this is probably what I love most about Halloween. I love the creativity. I love the timeliness, the pop culture references that people use to kind of like recollect what the biggest stories of the year were. And so guess what? I want us to play a game where we each guess what this year's biggest costumes are going to be. Let's maybe each do 3. Shayna, you go first.
Okay. I think Beetlejuice, because that came back. There's a lot of easy things that you can do with Beetlejuice. You can go big, you can go little. I think it'll be great. I think Joker 2, particularly the Harley Quinn costume, is probably going to be a thing, even though everyone hated that movie. Her costumes absolutely killed. Sure. And then pertaining to what this show is mostly going to be about, I think there's going to be some people dressed up as rugs.
Okay, interesting. And let's hold the rug conversation because I may be getting some ideas. But Beetlejuice, Joker, I think that's good. Maybe I'll give mine.
Yeah, what are yours?
My 3 are Challengers, Pitbull, Menendez brothers.
Okay, so are we talking about the singer Pitbull here? Has something happened? Is he popular again? What happened?
Well, Shayna, he's never not been popular. How dare you? But Pitbull, yes, the singer, has been popping up on my TikTok For You page every single day for the past 2 weeks because he's currently on tour. And there is this like gentle minion-esque trend where people have been dressing up as Pitbull. So bald cap, suit. And they go to his shows. And I actually really like it. I think his music did raise the generation that survived 2009. So why not? But I think my other options are better. Okay, with Challengers, I think it is just a very smart way to signal to your partner that you think their friend is hot. And I love coded language. Why wouldn't you dress up in a cute tennis outfit and stunt on those hoes? I think that's great. Now, the Menendez brothers one. Okay, look. I have a lot of not great thoughts about the Ryan Murphy show on Netflix. Everything that's happened since that drop has been a bit atrocious, but I do think that show is hitting quite strongly with like college-aged audiences, teenage audiences, and I could see some people going out in their like frattiest quarter zips, the 80s shorts, the sneakers, and thinking like this is so funny because the brothers are unfortunately going viral on TikTok. Now, honorable mention, do you think anyone is going to dress up as missing Kate Middleton, or is that like very bad taste?
I mean, it's bad taste, which means that you know someone is going to do that.
And it's not me. It's not me. While Shayna and I gas up the car so we can go to Spirit Halloween after this taping, we have a show to do. On today's episode, we're talking about a woman in Ohio who found a rug buried in her backyard and how the internet lost its mind. We'll explain everything you need to know about a hole, a laptop, and some dogs after the break. Whether you're listening to ICYMI at double speed or regular speed, you'd probably love to know how you can get more cash back on your credit card. Either way, we'll slow things down a bit so you don't miss anything. Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cashback Match. That means with Discover, you could turn $150 cash back to $300. It pays to Discover. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
This episode is brought to you by Lumen. Your metabolism is your body's engine, so optimizing your metabolic health translates to easier weight management, improved energy levels, better fitness results, and better sleep. Introducing Lumen, the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. To use Lumen, all you have to do is breathe into your Lumen device first thing in the morning, and then the app lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs. Then, Lumen gives you a personalized nutrition plan for that day based on your measurements. It also gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workouts, sleep, and even stress management. Breathe into it before and after workouts and meals so you know exactly what's going on in your body in real time. And Lumen will give you tips to keep you on the top of your health game. Take the next step in improving your health. Go to lumen.me/ICYMI to get 15% off your Lumen. That's lumen.me/ICYMI for 15% off your purchase.
Hey there! If you love our podcast, then maybe you should consider subscribing to Slate Plus to immediately unlock bonus episodes. You'll access ad-free listening across all your favorite Slate podcasts, including bi-weekly bonus episodes of this show. Subscribe now on Apple Podcasts by clicking Try Free at the top of our show page, or visit slate.com/ICYMI Plus to get access wherever you listen. And we're back. I am here with Slate producer Shayna Roth to break down what happened when a woman in Ohio found a rug in her backyard and asked TikTok, is there a dead body in there? But before we get to that, Shayna, I need to ask, how did this all begin?
Okay, so this all began about a week ago. By the time this airs, it's probably like a week and a half ago. And this woman, Katie Santry, she posts a video saying, I think my house is haunted. And that's because she has this sunroom type room that's completely closed off at night. She says the alarms were on, and she came downstairs and her laptop screen was cracked.
I think my house is haunted and I'm freaking out. Like, I'm literally shaking. This is my sunroom. This is where I work. I sit here every day. There's a playroom here, doors here. This is the space. I worked in here last night until about 6:30. Everything was fine. Shut my laptop. We close these doors so the dogs don't come in here at night. No one is in this room. I'm down this morning to work. The screen shattered.
Moved around. It wasn't like a huge thing. It wasn't like, tables were flipped or posters were off the walls or things like that. But like little things were kind of amiss. And so she asked TikTok, do you think my house is haunted? What happened? Oh, and then by the way, she includes in there that she and her boyfriend were trying to put in a fence and they were out digging a post. And while they were digging, they came upon a rug buried under the ground. And so 2 + 2 = 5. And the thinking was when she dug up or at least disturbed this rug, because it's still very much underground. When she disturbed this rug, she disturbed some sort of forces in the universe, unleashed a haunting, and that's what cracked her laptop screen. And she had some other things that she was thinking of. She's like, well, actually, my stepson's phone was plugged in, charging it at 100% when he went to bed. But when he woke up, it was at 3%. And then, of course, people in the comment section were like, that ghosts suck up energy.
And now I have all these people saying that, like, ghosts steal energy, and that's, like, how they fuck shit up. And what are the odds that the same night that his phone just randomly goes from 100 to 3%, is the same night my computer gets broken and stuff gets moved around, all while digging up a potential dead body in my backyard.
And her thinking is, I'm being haunted, and TikTok loses its mind.
Yeah. Okay, so let's visualize what's happening here for the audience. First off, this laptop, it's pretty badly damaged. Like, when she opened it, half the screen was black, and that is annoying. And I, too, would be like, what dropped on it? Who hit this? Is someone trying to cover up a possible accident and not tell me? She also mentions that, like, she had a cream that was placed on one shelf and it was moved on top of it. And I gotta say, at this point, I was like, hey, I sometimes move creams to the wrong shelf. Okay, I don't know if I'm a ghost, but okay. Now, when we talk about the rug that was buried under the ground, how would you describe the look of it?
So what we can see in the video is you can see, like, the fibers of a rug, one of those, like...
It's like shaggy.
Yeah, like the shaggy, thick kind of rug, and it's very dirty. I want to say it seemed to be rolled up from what I could tell, but, like, the hole is not very big. And I'm kind of surprised that when they were out there digging that they realized it was a rug right away, because I don't know that if I hadn't been told that was a rug that I would identify that as a rug. But because it's a rug and because she now thinks she's being haunted, people are saying that, oh my God, there must be a body in that rug. And that's where the true crime people, assemble.
Yeah. And also, like, we don't see the full rug, right?
No, because it's mostly buried.
Right.
And that becomes a sort of ongoing narrative throughout this is, does she dig up the rug or does she not dig up the rug? How much of her yard is she willing to destroy in this process?
And before we get further into this mystery, I do need to check my sources. Who is this woman? Is she, like, an influencer? Is she a true crime person? Like, what was her life before this rug was discovered at her house?
So when she was 16 to, like, early 20s, she ran a YouTube channel called Katie and Carly, where they would talk about the Jonas Brothers, Twilight movies. It was kind of a thing, but she hadn't really done much since then. And she just started on TikTok. She's new to the platform. She started her TikTok about 6 weeks ago. And initially it was because, according to her, she wanted to talk about things that people don't normally talk about. So she'd been talking about her divorce. She'd been talking about having a miscarriage. She'd been talking about pregnancy symptoms when she was pregnant. So she's very recently had a miscarriage. And I love that. Very admirable. She had about 6,000 followers, I think it was. And her goal was to have 10,000 followers, I think, by the end of the year. So she clearly wants to grow her platform. And the way I see it is either she created the best thing ever with this whole saga, or she just happened to stumble onto the best thing for a content creator, which is a true crime mystery.
Yeah. And I'm going to hold back my skepticism because I want to ask, what is the next step of this rug saga?
Okay, so this is all happening over the course of about a week. So there's multiple TikToks going on each day. So we're still at about a week ago. She gives a rug update, says she can't get out the rug, and this is where she really starts to take off with the, is there a body in this rug? So because people on TikTok keep making suggestions, she's kind of living in the comments section at this point. They keep saying, you should call the police. And she does call the police at this point. And 2 cops come over.
The cops are here.
Oh, there. Yeah, I see that. It's like the tassel of it. It's like the end of it.
They think the whole thing is weird, which, fair. Who buries a rug? It's weird. It's weird to find a rug in your backyard.
The cops also think it's weird as fuck. And they were like talking about calling homicide. They were talking about how they'd have to get excavators out here. Like, they were fully invested just as much as we all are.
Police come and go. Seems like nothing's going to happen. So Katie and her boyfriend start digging. And this is where the comments start to get very like interactive with Katie, I would say.
Sure.
Because she's saying that, you know, we need help digging this up. I came across one comment where somebody said that they had some sort of a digger and Katie said to please DM me to help with that. So she's fueling a lot of these interactions and this speculation.
Yeah. And maybe let's take a minute here to kind of look at the evidence, because at this point, look, the police are involved. Her boyfriend's son also helped dig the hole. The family's involved. TikTok is involved. Neighbors are definitely looking at what's going on. They're interested. And everyone's telling her to please dig up this rug in your backyard, which we highly suspect has a dead body in it. Can I ask, what do you think at this point her motive is? Because I'm not exactly sure I understand why is she so indebted to like respond and entertain TikTok when the circumstances, which once again, possibly having a dead body in your backyard, are actually quite terrifying, if not private. Like, I think a part of me would rather deal with this privately.
I think there's a few things going on. One, I think, like I mentioned, I think Katie does want to grow her platform. And I think she really enjoys interacting with the people in the comments section. Katie, before this, had been posting some TikToks about the Menendez brothers. So she's very clearly versed in true crime. She seems to be a fan of true crime. She refers to true crime podcasts and movies and things like that throughout all of these different videos. And I think what happens with this is what happens a lot with true crime, which is this disconnect between the humanity and the entertainment. And I think Katie started this as like a true crime fan and feeling like she was in a podcast. But then throughout the videos, you kind of see the reality of what is going on or what could be happening really start to creep in. And I think there might be times when she kind of regrets like really being with this while it all just really takes off. But at some point, it's like, well, there's not really any going back now. Otherwise, people have gotten so invested in this that they will just harass you. And so I think it started off as a lark, and then she got real famous real fast, and she just kind of had to ride the wave.
Yeah, I think there is a bit of a reality show voyeurism to it, where she is not only the literal character in this rug story, she is the producer. And people are asking her, you could say bothering her to like produce a storyline, and she basically feels this desire or maybe this pressure to fulfill the order. But let's get back to the timeline. Where are we now?
So at this point, the video has definitely gone viral. And then she starts talking to her neighbors. And this is when Katie starts bringing up some of the history of her house, the house next door. She talks about how her neighbor died in the house next door the day that her and her boyfriend moved in. And then she says that they started boarding up that dead woman's house the same day that the computer got broken. So she feels like the ghost hopped from that house to her house. So we lost the plot a little bit on the rug. Yeah. So that happens. But then she says, she keeps telling people that want her to dig up this rug. She's basically like, look, we tried. It's too much. It's too big. We got to move stuff around because she has a very nice lawn. She's got like a very nice landscape area back there. It's quite nice. And so she says, you know, she needs people in Columbus to help her find either a cadaver dog or ground penetration radar before she's going to go digging this up, because she has already ruined her lawn enough. And she wants to make sure that, like, if she does this, that it's going to be essentially worth it, which sounds morbid and weird, but I don't really know how else to put it. She also says she's been contacted by a psychic. And so she then does some virtual digging, and she looks into the history of her own house. Very normal history. It was built in the 1960s. Not much to say there. There's nothing that seems weird or off about this house. Like, nothing weird happened there that she can tell. And then she finds out that you can't get a cadaver dog unless ordered by the police. And this is when she tells us that the chief officer had said when the first group of cops came out that they were not spending any resources on this situation. And honestly, right call.
Why is that? Why do you think it's the right call?
So, I mean, when you step back and look at, like, what do we have here? We have a rug that's been buried in a yard, and we have a woman who thinks she's being haunted.
Right.
I mean, the problems that are arising here are not necessarily for the police to solve. You know, it's not like she also found bones or anything else in that area that could link to any criminal activity. There's not really a crime here to be investigated at this point. They came out, they looked around, there's not much they can see. It's a lot of money to, like, get cadaver dogs, to get excavators, to do all of this stuff that taxpayers would have to front. So I think unless there's something more leading to the possibility of a crime, there wasn't much they could do at this point.
I don't know. It's tough because obviously, and I say this a little bit facetiously, but every police department could use some good PR in this day and age. And I could imagine police officers being like, hey, man, there's this thing going viral on TikTok. And, like, I just kind of wonder if maybe, like, we should, you know, like, get some overtime by, like, checking out this hole.
And I mean, like, on the one hand, like, I do get the urge to call the police on this because I totally understand, like, what does it really hurt? You know, they come over, they poke around, there's nothing there. And then you can be like, I let the professionals decide. And this is what they said. I think the part that makes me think, like, why are we getting the police involved is the hauntingness of this all.
Sure.
You know, when you have a haunting, you call the Ghostbusters, you call, like, Ed and Lorraine Warren, those famous exorcist people from The Conjuring. You don't call the police. They're not equipped for this.
Right.
This is not their area.
I need to know what happens next.
So Katie continues to do some armchair detectiving, which I think is where you want to be with this. You know, if you're curious about this, before you go calling the police and digging into this, do some research, do some homework, which she did a little bit earlier with looking into the house itself. But now she calls the listing agent, and the agent is best friends with the daughter who previously owned the house, which when I saw this, I was like, great. This is where we want to be. Let's go to some primary resources and see what happened, you know, before Katie moved into this house. So the daughter doesn't know what the rug is. The daughter was asked about dead animals. They said they had pets, but that they were all cremated, which, okay. But then the daughter, who must be like the nicest human in the world, says that she will go to the nursing home to talk to her 95-year-old mother and father and ask them. And I mean, like, nice for them. But this is also around the time when Katie starts to kind of bite back a little at people online. She's really gotten big. She's getting a ton of comments. And she has these people on there saying that she's doing this for clout. So she starts kind of like biting back at people saying, like, I'm not doing this for clout. I don't know what's going on. So finally, she says, okay, look, everybody wants to know what's going on. The realtor has not really given me any good information about any of this. We're going to dig tomorrow at 4:30. So that's what's going to happen. And then the next day, they get a digging crew together. They say they're going to stream it live at 4:30. Apparently, by this point, People Magazine has got involved.
I was actually just out at the hole because People Magazine needed some pictures. And, like, I truly can't tell which direction it goes. I'm so curious. I appreciate all of your lack of fucking patience throughout this process. It's been fun.
And it's like the climactic part in this weird movie is that, okay, we're going to dig.
Yeah, and before we dig, I think there is something to be said about the way she is reacting to everyone else's reactions. I think, first off, I read that her neighbors also started posting or streaming live because they were also kind of reporting on the thing from the sideline. People were also kind of geolocating her, finding her address, and not exactly for her, but probably because they want to see the hole. And I think this part is kind of internet-y and interesting because, jumping ahead just a little bit, Katie does give an interview where she says that she actually regrets this part, streaming this part live. Why is that?
I think the main reason there is because if there is a dead body, it would be very disrespectful to show the body without contacting the family first and things like that. And that's one of the things that Katie brings up. I also think the fact that this is getting super salacious at this point makes her rethink some of her actions, including streaming that part live. I mean, it's a lot of oogling and people secretly hoping to find a dead body in a rug buried in somebody's yard. And if you go live, I mean, you can't filter or edit anything respectfully. And let's say she's filming and God forbid there is a body and now suddenly she's showing a dead body live on TikTok. I mean, that's not great. Think of the children.
Yeah. Okay. So she announces she's going to stream this live. What happens next?
So she's going to do a dig. And then the police call her. Homicide calls her and says, actually, we're going to send detectives and cadaver dogs to your house. They want to take a look at this rug. And they say if the dogs find something, then we're going to dig it up, essentially. It is unclear what happened between, the several days prior when, the two officers came over, looked and said, not much we can do. And now when homicide is calling her and they're like, yes, we will bring dogs out here. The theory is that TikTok made them do it. That essentially that the police department realized that this was blowing up nonstop. It's possible that this started to bleed into the community. I mean, Columbus, Ohio is quite large. So the fact that the police department is going to expend resources on this, I mean, they must have been getting pressure from somebody. I do wonder if they weren't getting calls about this and people constantly tying up their phone lines being like, why haven't you guys looked into the woman's backyard? It's on TikTok. There might be a body there. Get over there. Mm-hmm. So they say, okay, we're going to come. The dogs can't come until 5 p.m. And this is when Katie seems to get pretty excited. She's like, they're going to come. They have the sniffer dogs. And I don't know. This is where I'm like, girl, do you really want to keep doing this? It just starts to really ramp up. Her intensity really starts to ramp up around all this. So the detectives arrive and wouldn't you know it? They bring two dogs. Both of the dogs sit down or indicate that they smell something in this area where this hole is. So the cops say, okay, we're going to dig it up. We can't do that tonight because it's after 5. We will get on this tomorrow. So police officers stay overnight at her, not in her house. It's not a slumber party.
Oh, sure.
But they stay at the scene overnight. There's reporters at the house. There's crime scene folks that are going to come in the morning to dig. And this is when Katie says something that I was just like, ooh, we said the quiet part out loud. She says, if I don't get a murder podcast after this, I'm going to be pissed. And she says that this is her humor. I mean, throughout this whole thing, she's a very charming, charismatic person. She's talking, she makes a lot of jokes. She's very funny. She's very engaging. And she says that was meant as dark humor. I don't know. I think you said the quiet part out loud.
I agree with you. I have a genuine question. Why do the cops decide to stay overnight? Because it's not like there's an active threat of harm. Because if there is a body, the body is dead. So what is their thinking there? Okay, so play my Law and Order chimes. Dun dun.
Yay. So if they're treating this like a crime scene, which it seems like they need to because the dog sat down and indicated that there might be human remains, then we're essentially starting a chain of evidence issue. And until the scene is sorted and examined and they are done with the scene, the police need to be able to say, hey, nothing was disturbed between when the dog sat and when our investigation began and we finished with the scene. Basically, they need to protect the scene. They want to be able to tell, potentially if this was a thing, they want to be able to tell jurors, nobody came over and dumped a body here.
Yeah.
After we had showed up.
Yeah. And now question about these doggies. I go to the airport sometimes and those doggies tend to sniff people for drugs. Is that a possible thing that's happening in the rug?
And I don't know enough about the canine unit. I believe that they are trained for different things. So there are cadaver dogs, there are drug dogs, and they are all trained to find and indicate on different things. So these were, I believe, specifically cadaver dogs.
Amazing. Okay, so what happens next?
So she posts videos of the dogs sitting down. She had kind of edited them and things like that. And now it's another day, and she says, okay, CSI is going to be at my house soon to start digging. She talks about how she's shaking and how crazy it is that she now has 1 million followers. So her followers have blown up at this point. And I think she is also, again, starting to feel that pressure of having that many followers. So she's got a lot going on at this point. She's got like more than 1 million followers. She's got a ton of comments that she's managing to keep up on. And now police are surrounding her house and potentially digging up something that's going to change a lot of people's lives. Even though police have told her there's a good chance that it's not a body, they get to digging. And it's really kind of amusing. They block her off using like stuff that was on her deck to make sure that she doesn't go in this certain area. So they come in, they're digging. And then after all that digging, the police department usher Katie over to give her some news. And I kind of feel like TikTok was very disappointed by this news.
And before we reveal what they found down there, let's take a break. When we come back, Shayna and I will talk about the aftermath of Katie's backyard rug going viral and what this says about TikTok and the state of true crime. All that and more after the break. Whether you're listening to ICYMI at double speed or regular speed, you'd probably love to know how you can get more cash back on your credit card. Either way, we'll slow things down a bit so you don't miss anything. Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cashback Match. That means with Discover, you could turn $150 cash back to $300. It pays to Discover. See terms at discover.com/credit card. This episode is brought to you by Saks.com. There's joy in finding the perfect gift for the ones you love, but it can be a challenge. Saks.com's holiday gift guide makes it easy. Whether you're surprising your hard-to-shop-for sister with a Chloe bracelet bag or gifting your partner a memorable scent from Gucci, at Saks.com, there's holiday inspiration for every personality on your list. I love using Saks.com because it is clean, easy to use, and so fun to scroll around for inspiration. I'm currently on the hunt for a really nice winter coat, and I'm also looking to put together some fun holiday looks, especially with all these Christmas parties coming around the corner. Now, thankfully, Saks has me covered because they have everything my friends have been begging me for, from Le Labo candles to Jo Malone London perfumes. And while I'm there, I might as well throw in these really cute Michael Kors boots I've been dying to gift myself. Saks.com's hand-picked guide can help take the stress out of the holidays. Add instant cheer to your home with some bright decor. Find gifts guaranteed to bring joy to everyone this holiday season at Saks.com. That's Saks.com for the ultimate holiday gift guide and all the shopping inspiration you need.
Future you faces some big expectations. Work out more, go to bed earlier, and most importantly, make smart money decisions. Thankfully, today you has Bank of America. One place with tools and guidance to help balance tasks from budgeting to saving. So you can just be you with big plans. Do more with the bank that asks, what would you like the power to do? Explore our tips and more at bankofamerica.com/futureyou.
And we're back. So before the break, the police came to Katie's house. They excavated the dang hole, and what did they find, Shayna?
No body.
Ooh.
They found nobody. Nobody. And in the iconic words of Taylor Swift, no body, no crime. So there was really nothing there. Katie mentioned something about they found some rubber. I don't know what that means. But that's it. So we are still left, or at least I'm not. The internet, TikTok, is still very much invested in this story. And now all eyes have turned to what broke the laptop. Is Katie haunted?
Yeah. And I actually would like to know that as well, because forget about nobody finding no body. What happened with this laptop? Because I'm thinking we need to check our warranties. We need to make an appointment at the Genius Bar. But I actually have one more question, which is, what do we think the dogs were sniffing?
So they can be very sensitive. Like, you don't need like a whole body for them to hit, obviously. It's possible that while Katie and everybody else was digging in that area, somebody cut themselves without realizing it. Maybe somebody spit. I don't know if they pick up on spit, but spit is DNA. I mean, there's been people in that area. You know what I'm saying? Their DNA, when you walk around, your DNA sheds. So there was a lot of people around that area. It's also possible that, the dogs just got it wrong. It happens.
Yeah.
And it's also possible that there was blood on the rug or something else on that rug that they picked up on, but wasn't, murder scene worthy.
Right. Maybe a paper cut from the previous owner, stepped on some glass, stepped on the rug. We never know.
I saw one theory, which was that somebody gave birth on the rug.
Okay.
And that's why they planted the blood-good tree over top of the rug. Because it's something fertility.
Okay, so...
Maybe we need the daughter back and we need to find out if her parents did a home birth.
Okay, interesting. Now, I wonder if you have anything to say about the aftermath, right? Because the case is closed, yes?
Yeah. I mean, police are nothing here. We're good. We're sealing this. We're done. I think what this situation shows us is Katie got too famous too fast. She is the Chappell Roan of this corner of the internet. She now has more than 2.2 million followers. And keep in mind that this all happened over the course of a week and a half. And before this saga, she had 6,000. And I don't think the rapid and overwhelming nature of viral fame should be placed squarely on TikTok's shoulders because she did solicit this. She was very much engaged in the comments. She still is. And she's still talking about this. A couple of hours before we started recording, she posted a TikTok addressing all of the theories about the rug. And people are still trying to convince her to essentially tear her yard apart because there's people who are well, the rug was there, but maybe the body was somewhere else. So maybe you got to go under your deck. And it's possible she could do that. I don't know. But I think in the aftermath, I think she's going to have a problem with, she said that she started TikTok in an effort to talk about things that people don't want to talk about. But now people only really want to talk about the rug and whether or not she's haunted. And I'm curious to see how she's able to establish her own identity separate from this. She has posted videos saying that hey, this is actually what I'm here about. If you just came for the rug, feel free to unsubscribe or unfollow or whatever. But I don't know. She's still talking about the rug. So I think there's some sort of a balancing act going on. And I'm curious to see what happens to Katie after all of this.
Yeah. And the thing is, I feel we are ignoring one of the main characters of this story, the ghost and the laptop. What happened there?
Okay, so I have a theory about this. I Googled causes of a broken laptop screen, which is when it's physically broken, a cracked screen as she had, it is usually due to physical damage. So she could have dropped it or dropped something on it. So maybe something fell on it. Mm-hmm. But this was interesting. I also found that a laptop screen can break even if it's something small, like a bit of sand between it and the keyboard. So what I'm saying is laptops, they are gentle creatures you must handle with care. And I think it's possible that, honestly, it sounds like an animal got in somehow and it walked across her laptop, cracked the screen, pushed a few things off of her desk or moved some stuff, got in the way of things in her desk. And then she accidentally put her lip balm on a different shelf. That seems to me the most likely. There's a lot of other theories. One person was oh my God, check your attic. Somebody's living in your house and you don't know about it.
Okay.
Which I don't think so.
See, that sentence alone is the reason why I could never be Katie, because what I don't need in my life is not only a possible dead body in my backyard and not only a computer that is absolutely broken, but I don't need strangers telling me, hey girl, hey, there's a person in your attic. Why?
Right?
Why?
I mean, honestly, I'm impressed that she stayed in the house throughout all of this. I'm pretty sure if I was getting comments like that, I'd be I'm out. Yeah. I'll be at a hotel.
I'd be you know what? You are right. I am haunted and I am the ghost and I am haunting myself. I don't like this. Now, maybe we should also talk about the fact that her local law enforcement, taxpayers got involved for something that at best I would describe a TikTok theory. What is your thought on all this?
I mean, this is where I get really frustrated. Like, if this had just been in a vacuum, she dug it up, she didn't find anything, blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, cool. The TikTok people want to dig into something that comes to nothing. Great. It's when you get my man and woman, the taxpayer involved, that I get frustrated because, like, this was a lot of money that was spent in this woman's yard over, like you said, a TikTok theory. And this is something that becomes a reoccurring problem in the true crime community online. There is a tendency to either blow cases out of the water unnecessarily, kind of like what happened here, and waste police time and resources on them, or people get so involved that it hurts the investigation and or other people. And one of the instances of this happening that I come back to a lot is the Alyssa Lam case. Lam was at the Cecil Hotel in LA in 2013. And there's a video of her in an elevator acting really weird. And then her body was found on the roof of the hotel, drowned in a water tank. It was all very odd stuff going on. And people online got really obsessed with figuring out what happened. And they started accusing people. And one of the people they accused was a musician named Morbid. And he was harassed by people. And he has to live with that stuff being out there on the internet forever. People claiming that he killed somebody. So when I see stuff like this, where someone is, let's face it, giddy because they maybe directly could be involved in a mystery, I get it. As someone who loves crime novels and mystery books, I totally get the thrill of thinking that, like, hey, I'm in a real life version of Clue. A lot of people would love to have their life turned into something worthy of a documentary, but it's also super problematic because at the end of the day, we're talking about actual and potential people and victims. And Katie's sort of meta self-aware commentary about how she's kind of excited by this, talking about getting a murder podcast, etc. I mean, it's just like, that is the stuff that can potentially become harmful. Like, it's really good that there was nothing found, because if there had been, I mean, I don't know, this stuff can get out of control very quickly.
Yeah. I think I'm with you in that there is something quite aggravating and disappointing about the fact that there are communities of Black and brown people who call the police multiple times and don't get answers for 4, 5, 6, 7 hours. And yet here is a white woman who claims that there is a rug in her backyard, and TikTok is claiming there's a dead body in there with honestly no evidence.
Right.
And that is what the police respond to. That is what they stay overnight for. That is what they bring out the cadaver dogs who are working a 9 to 5 for this. And it's like a weird distinction between being fascinated with an entertaining story because you like that there is no ending, to being like, we are using resources that honestly could have gone somewhere else, but instead we gravitate towards the salacious. We gravitate towards the glamorous. You could make that argument about the Menendez brothers and like what Ryan Murphy is doing there. But I agree with you that there are actually, I think, a few guilty parties here. I think first, Katie herself, I don't think she necessarily has quote unquote dark humor. I think what she means to say is that there seems to be a meta-ness happening to her, right? Because she confesses that she is a true crime person. She's like deep in this world. And it is a very different feeling when you watch the story and when you become the story. And it probably helps that she is very charismatic. You know, I think about Risa Tisa, who, you know, made the 52-part TikTok series, Who the Fuck Did I Marry? It's about a guy she married who was not who he said he was. And a big reason why Natasha Rothwell ended up picking up her story and like adapting it is because Risa Tisa is a very convincing, compelling storyteller. And so I kind of wanted to ask, if this had happened to anyone else, do we think TikTok would have been as obsessed with it as they were? Or is Katie kind of guilty of sensationalizing her role in this?
This is such a great question and thing to ponder, because I can almost guarantee you that me, with my, like, I don't know, 200 Instagram followers, if I posted something like this, saying, I think my house is haunted and I got a weird rug in my backyard.
No one would care. They'd block
Nobody
you.
cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. And I don't have like an actual like really active TikTok account. I just use it for work. So I think this was a case of right person, right time, right platform. She had enough followers to push her stuff out there, but she wasn't like unreachably famous. She's super charismatic and she knew how to tell a story while being real and approachable. And TikTok was great for this. Like you said, we've seen these serialized stories go viral before, and she had a very compelling hook. So I think that it very much needed to be Katie for this to explode the way that it did. And I think that she did a very good job of encouraging it. You know, she didn't have to keep responding to comments. She didn't have to post updates every few hours about what was going on. So, yeah, I think it's both.
Yeah, I would also say I think Katie, while I'm not going to accuse her of doing all of this for clout, because once again, why would you want a dead body in your backyard? Mm-hmm. I do think the other X factor is that she is the audience. She is so well versed in what true crime audiences want, how they find you, what hashtags to use, the type of storytelling techniques that they use in podcasts and documentaries to make you click the next episode. She is like a stan person becoming a celebrity. Because, like, she knows the type of light that attracts moths. And so I think that at the end of the day, she's smarter than we think. But I'm with you in that I'm a little unsure of where she goes from here, right? Because, look, if she were to say next week, hey, guys, found another rug in my backyard, I'd be like, stop. 2.2 million followers. You cannot tell me you're finding more rugs, okay?
I'm with you. I hear you, but I gotta ask. I know that TikTok is big on collaborations. Is there somebody that she could have collaborated with on this besides the police?
Ooh! Okay, here's what I'll say. I think she absolutely should have collaborated with the tunnel girl. Do you remember this girl who was like the TikTok engineer, built a tunnel underneath her home? We did an episode about her back in January. I just feel like this girl should have jumped in the comments, offered to come down, excavate the rug for her, and they truly could have maximized their joint slay. I see the Home Depot Spawn Con now.
I mean, who doesn't love a good collab?
Okay, that's the show. We'll be back in your feed on Saturday, so definitely subscribe. That way, you never miss an episode. Leave us a rating and a review on Apple or Spotify and tell your friends about us. You can follow us on Twitter at ICYMI_pod, and you can always drop us a note at ICYMI@slate.com.
ICYMI is produced by Se'era Spragley Ricks and Candice Lim, with production assistance from Kevin Bendis, Maura Currie, and Kat Hong. Daisy Rosario is our senior supervising producer, and Alicia Montgomery is Slate's VP of Audio. See you online.
Or at a Pitbull concert.
I said to Roger, the last thing you are fair and balanced. That should have been my slogan.
When the Fox News Channel first went on the air, it promised to change television.
Few broadcasts take any chances these days, and most are very politically correct. Well, we're going to be different.
It's going to be kick-ass, and I want to be part of it.
I'm Josh Levine. In this season of Slow Burn, we'll look at the moment in the early 2000s when Fox News became a political and cultural force.
I'm okay with wearing an American flag. And if you're not, I think you need to examine who you are.
You'll hear from Fox insiders, many who've never spoken out before.
I was not told about that beforehand, for good reason. I wouldn't have gone along with it.
And you'll hear from the activists and comedians who tried to stop it.
He said, "You're being sued by Fox." I went, "Really? That's fabulous."
Slow Burn Season 10, The Rise of Fox News. Hear the entire season now, wherever you listen.